views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and/or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice. You are listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, from our compound to you worldwide, with your host, Gary Anderson.
Well, that is me. I've been taking it easy today in the compound. That's not true. Actually, you know what? I've been working on the website for the last 2 days, learning how to do a website, well, on my own, and I think I actually accomplished it, well, doing it. Well, tonight we're going to be talking with James Creachbaum. He is our new Saturday host on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. He will be on from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock Pacific West Coast time. If you're on the East Coast time, you add 3 hours to it. Now, James will be on right after this.
Please check out the Night Dreams Talk Radio website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Also, if you want to keep our show free of advertising, just hit the donate button. Give a buck or two. Remember, all prior shows are always free to listen to. We at Night Dreams Talk Radio thank you for your support.
You're listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
Oh, John, don't lie. We're not the best, but we're not the worst. Somewhere between third and fourth. How's that? Anyway, tonight we're going to be talking to James Creachbaum. He's our new host on Saturdays from 4 to 5 o'clock Pacific West Coast time. You know, he has about 30 years experience in the paranormal. Everything from Bigfoot to ghost hunting to, well, Mothman and all that stuff. James, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, Gary Anderson. How you doing?
I don't know. It sounds almost like you're talking in the John. But other than that, we're going to have to ship you a microphone. You know that. One that is a little even better than that one.
Yeah, I was just throwing my voice a little bit just to mess with you. Sorry about that.
Well, don't forget, we got listeners here, so.
I know.
We got 3 or 4 people.
Well, that's a start.
Yeah.
You know, 3 or 4, it becomes 5, 6. Next thing you know, you got a few 100,000.
But, you know, the good thing is we don't sit here and eat food while we do the show and clink dishes like some people do.
Don't even get me going on that. I'm trying not to laugh. I know exactly what you're saying. And you know what? How are you going to talk and have a conversation with somebody if you've got to wipe your mouth and, well, you know the deal.
And talk with food in your mouth. I don't know. You know, that's one thing I told you before, you know, you go on to some of the shows like Facebook Live that people put on. There's one guy, I swear to God, he's sitting there in no shirt at all half the time, sitting there in his easy chair doing a talk show. I mean, you know, how can I say uncouth that is? You know, I all my years in broadcasting, I have learned so much the last 2 years. You know, I didn't even know what Facebook was 2 years ago, you know, when my friend called and talked me to come out of retirement, you know, and that's when I started finding out about Facebook. And I'll tell you, Facebook is strange. That's one word for it. And you know what? What would your friend say today if he's seen some of these live videos that's going on with the eating and smoking and the cussing and you name it? Wouldn't he? Lord knows what he might say about that. Yeah, I bet he's in his grave just swearing about it because you know when he did his show. I mean, let's face it, talk radio has changed a lot. As I said, you can go out and buy a, $14 microphone or a $10 microphone at Walmart or many other places, plug it into your computer, and now you're a talk show host.
Or so they say. Or you can get one of those karaoke boxes down at Walmart and you can really be big time.
Oh, yeah. Hey, what are you knocking that for? How do you know I don't go with my box and sing at night, you know? like somewhere
Well,
over
I
there.
know, but,
Okay, but hey,
now you're out.
yeah, I'm not
You're
out.
out.
Yeah. Anyway, why don't you tell the listeners about you? I mean, like, what got you into the paranormal? All the different things that you have covered in the paranormal.
Well, I've always had these psychic abilities when I was younger, and I grew up in the '70s, and small town USA, and it's something I didn't want to be bothered with, and it was kind of a strange thing, and then you get into teenage years, awkward teenage years, and no, I still didn't want to be bothered with these things, so I tried to shelve them as long as I could, and it came to a boiling point at one point. I was living with my cousin and my aunt, and we would work during the day, and then at night we'd come home, and every night my clothes and his clothes would be moved. They'd be moved across the room, and he thought I was doing it, and I thought he was doing it, but neither one of us was doing it. And then a couple of days went by, and I knew what was going on. There was a spirit of an old man who died in his house, and and he was attracted to me because of, I don't know, just maybe my psychic abilities, whatever. But I didn't want to be bothered with it. I'm like 20 years old. I don't want to be bothered with this stuff. I just want to make a few dollars and chase a few women, and that's it. Maybe go fishing. I don't want to be bothered with this other stuff. But then he wouldn't let me sleep at night. Every night he'd push my bed or poke me or flick my toes or something. Anyway, it came to a boiling point, and it sounded like somebody's got one of them great big stainless steel pans full of other stainless steel pans, and the bedroom I was in was all hardwood floor. And it sounded like somebody took them pans and slammed as hard as they could on that hardwood floor right beside me. And I got to tell you, this was about 11 o'clock at night. I wasn't asleep. I just went in there, and my aunt and cousin come running in the room. They thought, earthquake, somebody hit the house, the roof fell in. Anyway, they came in and peeled me off the ceiling, and they said, "What's going on?" Not a thing moved or nothing. Not a thing. Well, that was the last time I stayed in that house. I moved out the next day. I couldn't take no more. I told my aunt I can't sleep here. So then it progressed forward. I moved out of state, did some work, and I've always been paranormal and studied it and stuff, but not so much the psychic part, more of spirits and Bigfoot and stuff, and UFOs too, and aliens. And so I would go every weekend. I'd always go out and investigate, usually by myself. Sometimes I had some people with me, if I can find somebody. But and I did that for a good 10 years or so. And it's funny. A friend of mine, I think she's your friend too, Sharon Day. She on one of her blogs, she had a thing about Barrahack, and it's a little village in middle of nowhere, Connecticut. And I actually investigated that town back in 1988. And it's a funny story because I went there, and this time I took 3 guys with me. They worked for me on this. Excuse me, on this crew, and they knew what I did on the weekends. They'd always, bust my balls and stuff. And I said, "Okay, you guys, you're so tough and everything. Why don't you come with me? I could always use help. I'm tired of going by myself." I said, "Oh, okay." So we all went. So I found this place. It's in the middle of nowhere, and then you got to hike another mile and a half in the middle of nowhere in the woods. So I timed it so it was about right when the sun got down, time we got where we need to go out in the middle of nowhere in the woods on this hike. We get there. We're there about 3 minutes. There's nothing there but old stone foundations from buildings from like the 1700s. And we're there, and they're behind me, and then there's these ungodly noises. I mean, just scary, ungodly noises. Well, I knew what they were. It was about, I think it was the first week of November, right? The first or second week of November anyway, somewhere around there. And I turned around to tell them what it was. Well, when I turned around to tell them what it was, Gary, all I seen was the backside of 3 grown men running full speed like Forrest Gump, gone. They were gone. They left. Well, what it was just some deer running, and they were making all kind of crazy noises, but they left. They was gone. So I ended up investigating. I seen shadows and heard all kind of weird noises, and that's pretty much from there. Just progressed on through the years, investigated, and just started to help people with paranormal problems on through the years, and that's basically what I do today is help people with paranormal problems and try to educate people and help them the best way I can.
Now, didn't you, I did one of the stories when you've been on my show in the past? We were talking about going out by yourself. A lot of things you got to be careful if you're out ghost hunting. One is, if you're going to go into any buildings and stuff, try to find the owner who owns it and get permission. Also, if you go into a building, you're risking your life sometimes because you don't know about the flooring. You don't know about anything. So you could, go out in an old abandoned warehouse or old building and then all of a sudden fall through the floor and maybe they won't find you for months later.
Yes, I want to tell you something. I learned, listen, don't ever go by yourself. Don't go by what I did. This is back in the 80s. Another time, you brought up a good point there. I investigated an old steel mill that was shut down in upstate New York. It was probably, 10 miles from Star Lake, or Lake Placid, rather, up near the border. It had been shut down, this steel mill, for like 30, 40 years. And it was spooky. Kind of reminded me of Sloth Furnace. But anyway, so I'm investigating it. And I'm up on the, I investigated about 4 times. The one day I was on the roof of this building. It's about 200 feet up in the air. Now I'm up there investigating. It's actually in broad daylight, and it's cold out. Now there's a military base close by. Now they've got these, I don't know what they were, F-17s or wherever they were, but my back was to them. And here's the thing about these F-17s. If your back's to them, you can't hear them. And they were low flying, you know what I mean? And when they went over me, Gary, they dang near blew me clear off this 200-foot building. I mean, I had to change my pants that day, but they pretty much blew me off the building. That was one of the dangers. I could have fell off and died because these jets scared the death out of me. And, another time, I think it was a week later, I was inside the building, but on the top floor, and it's dark. This time it's nighttime, and I'm by myself like a dummy. And I'm walking along, and next thing I know, the floor, there's no floor. There was a hole in the floor, and there was like cardboard over it, and I fell through. Now, lucky for me, the hole wasn't real big, and I caught myself, or I would have fell probably a good, 20 feet, maybe. It was probably about 20 feet. Who knows? I could have broke my neck or something, but I know it dang near pulled my shoulder out of joint. But you brought up a good point. You've got termites, you've got bed bugs, cockroaches you can bring home. You can fall through wooden floors, lead paint. There's all kind of dangers out there. It's not all puppies and kittens, that's for sure.
Well, I remember,